slow stitch. These are just a few examples of what I'm doing. I'm going to show you how to get started on this kind of slow stitch, how to baste your binding, and basically get started with the fat quarter. So I hope that you enjoy this and let me know what you think of these slow stitch ideas. That what I'm doing is using them for toppers on my journals. So I mean, they look really cool. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. Really hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, hit the like button. Leave me a comment, please. Let me know what you think. If y'all are interested in more of the slow stitch, hand quilting, embroidery kind of stuff to go along with the junk journals, to integrate all that together. But thank you, and once again, enjoy the video. So in my introduction, I discussed some new stitching that I have come across, and it's called slow stitching. Misty Co Makes. She has a wonderful YouTube channel that I kind of got this for, well, not kind of, I did get the idea of to make this from her. She has a scroll that's just rolled up like this and just continues rolling, that she did on a class. And what I want to show you is this big, huge quilt. This, I'll take a picture of it so you can see it better, but this quilt, my mama's gonna whoop me after this, but oh well. See, these are her stitches. These are the stitches that came on the Sashiko right here. So they're a little bit smaller than these. These are my stitches, and these are my stitches. These here are a little bit smaller. Now these are actually big stitches for me. But my sister asked my mom for a quilt several years ago because I had made my mom one. It was small. It was the first hand quilted quilt that I had ever made. And it was too small for a grown adult to actually stay warm. So Sandy asked Mama to make another one. And what's so special, besides the fact that my mama made this all by hand, she did the quilting. She did the 2.5-inch strips on the sewing machine, but she did all this quilting and the designs. And I know you can't really see the design. So she's got Sandy written here, somewhere on here. She's got all these lines. You can see it really good on the back. Right here is Sandy's daughter's hands. So Mama took and drew hands, and she put them on here. Here is Layla's hands. That is Amanda's daughter, and I think she's probably maybe 2 or 3 at the time. And Riley was not born when Mama made this, but she was pregnant with her. So she did get a block. But all of that to say, this quilt, as I've been working on it for my sister, what I'm doing is these big stitches right here, I'm just couching them down, just taking some thread and just sewing over and over. I don't see any on this side. I'm still working on it. But in the process, I realized these big stitches are the most important stitches I've ever seen in my life. Because my mother she's in her 70s now, but since 2010, 2011, she has been basically considered low vision, which before my mother became low vision, I always thought that blind people could not see anything, but that's not the case. So my mother has, at this point, she has had one eye removed. The other one, she's got maybe 20 or 30%, maybe a little bit more vision in that eye. But she made this quilt. She did every stitch on here herself. And even with the big stitches, you can see how beautiful it is. It just, I don't know, it just said to me, well, you know, I want perfect. I want little stitches that are the same size all the way across the quilt. Now that, if you know me, that's me. That's the way I've always been. My quilting, my junk journals, and I've been trying to get away from that perfection attitude lately. I really have. So I was inspired by my mother to make this. This was the first one that I started on. I started with a 10-inch square, and I used big thread. And I have not taken anything out, so all these crazy stitches are mine. And it looks beautiful, even on the back. You see how it's showing up in the front? These are raw edges. I just sewed them on any kind of way. Well, not any kind of way. I did overlap them a little bit. So, not this one. This one is made from 4 more fat quarters that I sewed as sew as you go. So I sewed them after I got them quilted. You can see these are just everywhere. Right here is where I started stitching that back panel on. And I'm still adding to the edges over here. And then this is a fat quarter. I did baste it down with big long stuff. This is basically the same thing. I'm just putting my fabrics here's my little box. I have some different 5-inch square fabrics. This one is The Good Life from Bonnie and Camille from Moda. And I'm taking these 5-inch squares, and you can see I've just cut them in random sizes. I have not used a full 5-inch square yet. I just take and kind of cut it here, maybe cut it there. So I have the randomness. Some of this is not the 5-inch squares, but I have so many scraps that I don't even need the 4-inch squares, but that's what I had at the moment. So this one is a scrap. This one is, and this one are both scraps. This one, this one, that pink one, I know for a fact are Tula Pink fabrics because I've already used them in a butterfly quilt that I made several years ago. And this here, I did go around this one around the outside edge because it was a patch. This one too. So let me see if I can find, like right here. No, that one's done good. This one I think I did better on. This one, I'm trying to find, I'll find one in a minute. Because of the way you can see I just laid them over. I did not And in some places that batting is coming out. Like, oh, not there either. I guess at the moment I'm not going to be able to show you any because I done covered them up. I thought I had at least one more right here. See how that's, I can pull the fabric away. So what I'm going to do in the end is take and just maybe cut this in half and patch it over the top. So all of this is raw edge exposed. When I wash it, it will fray. It's already starting to fray, which will make a really soft quilt, believe it or not. But there's no planning. I just have taken, as you can see over here, I put this one on. I've tried to make them go different directions. Like this one's a long one, so instead of putting it this way, I might put it that way. So what I'm doing, for those that are new, and by the way, thank you for stopping by. If you're new, it'd be great if you hit that like and subscribe button. Help me grow my channel, and you can see a lot more stuff I do. I love quilting and bookbinding, but there's others too, so I'm sure one day I'll get to it. But these stitches it's just a simple running stitch. What I'm going to show you though is how to baste this here, which I can pull this out now. It's just regular size thread that you'd put in your sewing machine, and once you get done, you just pull them out like this, which I still have a few more to put on here, but it's okay. So what I've done, I've ironed my fat quarter. This is a Tula Pink, and I don't know which collection of Tula Pink. I got to check and see what I'm missing right now, because I know she's got new stuff out. I love her stuff. Look at this. Faces and bees, and I don't even know, is that a hexagon, octagon, whatever that is. She just does beautiful work. So what I'm going to do, all I have is batting, because this is definitely free. It's quilt as you go. I said I was going to just be free about this one. And so far I'm getting there. So I'm going to take in on the end of my thread. I am not tying a knot. So I'm going to use this green, because it's going to come out in the end unless you want to leave it in. I mean, I don't leave mine in, but it's up to you. So I'm going to thread this green. And I'm getting a pretty good size piece. And I do have a small pair of scissors just to do this trimming when I'm not in my office. So basically, all I have is quilt batting. This is polyester, and I could not tell you what loft it is. I'm wanting to say it's probably a medium to a high loft. I have so many different kinds around here, and this was just some that I picked up. So what I did is I cut the batting an inch or so bigger. And if it's too short, you can add it as you go. So don't worry about that. But I've got it laid out right here. I'm going to tie my little knot. I got the end of my thread right here. I'm going to hold it with that finger. 1, 2. And that knot is right there in between my fingers. And I'm holding it tight. And I'm pulling it out. So you get just a itty bitty little knot. So what I'm going to do is just look and make sure my fabric is smooth. It doesn't have to be pulled tight or anything. I'm going to start right here and take a great big stitch. And I'm going to come across maybe a hand's width. I'm going to take another great big stitch. Same thing all the way across. All we're doing is tacking down the fabric to that batting. And I'm doing maybe a hand's width, maybe less. I'm just going to turn it this way, and I'm going to go back the other direction. So you can do this however you feel is best. Actually, I could have went a little bit further, but that's okay. When you get down here, you just leave the thread hanging and get you another piece. And you don't even have to tie a knot when you first start. I do it just so I don't pull the thread all the way through. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start right about here because I want to get a little bit further away from that. See, this will hold. We're just wanting it to hold it kind of in place while we're sewing our pieces on top. So I'm going to go up about a hand's width. See if I can do this. Not left-handed, but I'm trying it. So I'm not flipping it all around. So see, we got just rows of you can use safety pins. You can I don't remember what they're called. So I'll go about right there. And if you don't do a knot, you can just do like a big back stitch. That should catch it too. There we go. And while I was quilting on the other one, some of it was starting to come out, which is fine, especially where I had already quilted. So I don't know if there is a name for what I'm doing. I'm just making it up as I go. I mean, it's a lot of stitching from quilting to embroidery to the Sashiko and borrow sewing that I saw to big stitch sewing. And what I was finding in a lot of it is just basically using this as a release or a meditative, simple, no stress, quiet time. And then a lot of times that's what I do is I do have the TV on in the background, but you don't have to. You can have the TV on just to have the noise, or I don't even think I watch it. Instead of wasting this thread, I'm just going to go on down. You don't really need to. First big quilt I made was for my mom. It was probably 20, 25 years ago, and it was huge. It was bigger than king size. We had that thing down on the floor, and I was much younger. That was hard to get down there and do this basting because we did the basting on the floor. So you see my threads here? They're just really big, hanging out. This is what the other side looks like. And all I'm going to do is just grab one of these. And because I've liked the variegated colors, I'm using this one in the Sashiko kit. So I take and do a little quilter's knot. And for me, you can start anywhere. You could start in the middle. You could start over here, over here. And actually, I'm going to start right in here, I think. I'm going to kind of go in the batting. So I'm in the batting in between, and I'm going to come up right there. And what I've been doing is rotating it. So this one, I'm just going to go in and out, rock your stitches. I'm not touching my fingers with the needle on the pokey side. I'm just taking my fingers down here. And if you see, I'm not quite getting my finger, then I'm coming back and I'm pushing a little bit on this. And you can do it one at a time, or you can do it like I'm doing and rock your stitches like that. And then I'm just going to take a little stitch and I'm going to go right there. Like I said, we're not measuring, so and you can just get in a rhythm of this, and it's very calming and soothing. You hear that thread? I don't know if you can hear it. I can hear it. And I can feel it as it comes through also between my fingers. So I'm just going back over and grabbing another piece. And this is why I like doing the fat quarter quilt as you go, because you don't have that whole big quilt that's bulking up on you and you're trying to hold it and twist it and everything else. And when you wash this, the edges are going to fray, but where you have the stitching, it should not fray on that. And if it does, and it has a little hole, then you just patch it up. Let's see, what else do I have? I'm going to try this green. That one's a little wider than what I normally do, but I will show you anyway. I'm just going to come up right here. Actually, I want it, can you see? I want a little bit of overhang onto that next piece. That way it covers it up and doesn't expose the batting. So with this one, and usually this one I do, but I was trying to do it easier. I'm just going to follow this line as my stitching guide. I'm not measuring, I'm just picking some row to stitch, and off we go. Then when I get here, I run out of room, I just go this way because I've got another line right here. I can just keep going. If you follow this grid pattern on this particular piece, it does give it a very nice tight quilted area. So here I'm going to go up this one. And I'm just going to follow this back down. I'm going to have enough to get all the way. So what I do is I do that like that. I twist my thread to where it comes around, and I put my needle through the back to make a notch. And what I'm going to do is, and you only need a small knot, I'm going to take that fabric or that thread, it's not coming through the back, and I'm just going to run it way over here to come out and bury it between the layers. And I just tie another, I thread my needle and tie that knot and just bury my stitch in the middle of the quilt. And if you have a threader, it might help with old eyes like mine. So I'm just going to come back right here where I see I'm in between the batting and the quilt, and I'm just going to keep going. When I get here, I'm going to go this direction. Like I said, the small little fat quarter is a whole lot easier to maneuver than a great big quilt when you're stitching like this. Some of my stitches are wonky, some of them are long, some of them are big. I hope you've enjoyed watching this short introduction to slow stitch quilting and quilt as you go. If you're new here and you liked what you saw and want to see some future videos, please hit the subscribe button and the like button and leave me a comment and let me know what you think about slow stitching and if you're a slow stitcher.